The Traitors Season 3 has started. 3 episodes dropped tonight. I have only watched episode 1 for now, so only going to be talking about episode 1 in this video. I'm going to be talking about the first 3 episodes tomorrow night as a whole. I want to try and go live to talk about these first 3 episodes of The Traitors. But I really enjoyed this first episode, mostly because of who the Traitor Trio is for now before it becomes a foursome. But yeah, let's talk about the Traitors first, because why not? I really do feel like the combination of Danielle, Bob, and Carolyn make for a great trio, only because of how entertaining they are as individuals. Do I think the three of them together can be great traitors, like at gameplay? I do think that too, but I'm talking specifically as entertaining players on TV. Bob is just entertaining all around. He's hilarious. We saw a lot of that in this episode, whether it's confessionals, whether it's him actually being angry, whether it's him faking angry, or a combination of the both together when he was standing out in the water. Danielle is entertaining because she's always been cutthroat, and she's not afraid to be cutthroat. She's done a lot of acting already in this first episode of fake crying, with the whole pulling on heartstrings of Brittany at the beginning, and then again during the mission on the boat, just like Bob when they ended up together, which was very comical. And then Carolyn as a player, she really is a mess. She is all over the place, or as Tom called her, she's very twitchy. But I think that's what works for her as a traitor, as we saw, because she's known on Survivor for being that way. She's not going to come across as suspicious if she is being twitchy, because that's just who she is, or at least that's what she's shown to already be on TV, kind of like a ball of nerves. So yeah, those three as traitors, I'm looking forward to watching the season unfold. We'll get to the twist in a minute. I already talked about it on my first video depicting the cast assessment. I don't hate the twist as much because I thought it was going to come a little later into the season. It is happening a little earlier, but there's still a lot of cons to the twist more than pros. Some other storylines in the first episode, though. The housewives, much like we've seen in past housewives on this show, they're not the most strategic bunch. They make a lot of boneheaded decisions that then they just become targets because of their boneheaded decisions. And they always do want to play nice and play as a group, but then the rest of the group doesn't always play nice with them, and then the claws have to come out, which came out a little bit with Dorinda, who, as I talked about during my cast assessment, she was, of all the four housewives, the one I figured would get into the drama. But the first four volunteers on the mission, and the mission was they had to go on the boat to either get fuel to start a fire or get money. But every stop along the way, two volunteers had to step out of the boat. And if they do step out of the boat, then they are eligible to be murdered by the traitors. Robin, and I think her name is Ayan from The Real Housewives of Dubai, were the first two volunteers. Not surprising from Robin, as I said in my cast assessment. She's not the brightest, so that did not surprise me that she was the very first volunteer. And then after that was Dorinda and Dolores. I understood what they were thinking, that we're good off because they're going to just continue to get the money. Everyone's all in, and we can volunteer because it looks like we're team players. But what they failed to understand is that, a traitor could also do this. They could also get off of the boat and get onto one of these platforms just to pretend that they're a team player. The other volunteers after that were Bob and Danielle, who happened to be traitors. Bob was upset because the men were kind of pushing the women out at the beginning of the mission, because they were like, oh, this is a manly challenge because this rowing is just so hard. But as Tom showed during the mission, he was struggling. His forearms were killing him. I think mostly because his technique was trash. If you saw a lot of the women on the boat, they were putting their whole bodies into it, because I think that is the way to do it best, not just trying to use your arms like Tom was doing, which is why he was tiring out. But Tom never volunteered to get off the boat, if you didn't notice, even though he was doing a lot of public relations in this episode. He was trying to be his own PR because of his reputation from his other show. I'll try to remember to get into that. The last volunteers were Bob Harper and Sam, two men getting off the boat because the women were getting more and more upset about the way the men were playing this game, or playing this mission at least. But I can see this breaking down into a men versus women type season from some of these players. That's the vibe I was getting during this mission, that could easily happen. The housewife girls always tend to stick together, but I'm seeing another group of women stick together a lot. It was Chriselle, Nikki, and Gabby. They were very upset during the mission too about the way the men were trying to act like only they should stay on the boat. I think their main problem with this is that the men were being selfish. Yeah, they can say, oh, we need to stay on the boat because it's a manly mission. But clearly, Tony's not the best at being under the radar, which is why it's so hard to believe he won 2 seasons of Survivor, because he's always out there in your face. It's a testament to him being so good at playing in chaos, because he was probably the pushiest. I wouldn't say the pushiest, but he was like the guy that was staunch in not getting off the boat, but being A-okay with the women getting off the boat at the beginning of the mission. After the mission, we saw Danielle playing upset. She did a good job of that. She had Tom trying to comfort her. And then Dorinda was actually upset because she thought that the guys were going to, well, not just the guys, but everyone was going to be all in on this mission to get the money, because there was 5 stops along the way, but they didn't go to the 5th stop, even though they'd had enough time to do so, but they couldn't find 2 more volunteers to get off the boat. On one hand, I can sit here and say the housewives make boneheaded decisions because they don't keep themselves safe. But at the same time, I get Dorinda's argument 100%. She volunteered to get off the boat because she thought that they were going to go all in and finish the mission and get all of the money, and they didn't do that. And even Danielle and Bob, who are traitors, have reasons to be upset with the rest of the cast for not doing that. It gives them some killing fuel, because if they win the game, they would like that extra money too. So I think there was some actual, not anger, but at least frustration with the rest of the cast where Bob and Danielle were concerned. And Bob was for sure actually upset about how the men were just trying to be A-okay with the women being the only ones volunteering to get off the boat. I think that did some good for Bob with the women this season, where alliances are concerned. And I think that's going to be needed for the women where the stupid twist is concerned. But before I get to the twist, some other things that happened before the mission. Tom was pushing really hard for Chriselle, that she might be a traitor. Chriselle is saying that's because she's friends with his ex, Ariana. And that can kind of be the case. Tom was really trying to come across in a good light in this episode, I found. He was like the only person that they showed when they were being asked if they wanted to be a traitor or a faithful. In the edit anyway, Tom was the only one to say he wanted to be a faithful. And I thought it was not genuine. So I can see maybe that is some of Chriselle's argument being true, that really he's just targeting her because she knows that he ain't shit, I guess. But there was more than just Tom that were suspecting Chriselle. Tony was quick to jump on to target Chriselle. And it kind of became a group for a while who were all putting a target on her. But she did have that little alliance starting with Gabby and Nikki. Gabby, like I said in my live video the other night, I didn't know her when I did my cast assessment, but I watched some clips from The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I really like her. She sticks to her guns, and I already saw her doing that in this first episode. She was one of the main people upset with the way Tony is at being obviously selfish. And she was one of the main people upset with the whole men versus women dynamic. And I think Gabby is going to continue to stand her ground during this game. After the mission, that stupid idiot from England, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, don't even care. I don't know if it's Ivar, I don't know if it's Iva, but I don't like him. I didn't like when he was casted in the first place. Him being so upset with Dorinda because Dorinda's upset with them, it's like the worst kind of strategic thinking. And I get at the beginning of a game, especially at a game like the Traitors, when there's a lot of confusion, you don't really know who is who. You look for the smallest details to try and put a target on someone. But if you're actually a good faithful, that is not something you should want to do, because that is bad faithful gameplay, in my opinion. Looking for any little reason to target someone isn't strategic at all. Dorinda had every reason to be upset, and it's odd that they looked at Dorinda as being suspicious, but not Danielle, who refused to really talk to anyone when she is really the traitor. But Dorinda's being more in your face about it, and that's suspicious. I don't know. I think that it's really low level thinking as a faithful to me. But I knew I wasn't going to like this dude from England, and I don't. Speaking of things I don't like, the twist. So they don't vote Boston Rob into the game, like I said they wouldn't in my cast assessment. But the twist is he gets to enter the game anyway. And not only is he the only one entering the game, he will be entering the game with Wes from The Challenge and Derek from Big Brother. Now, I thought this was happening later in the season, and I'm glad it's not, because I would be ranting even more about it if it was. I still don't understand what makes Boston Rob so special that he is getting the most powerful reward out of this. Because not only now does he gets to come into the game late, but he gets to come into the game as a traitor. I just think it's a lot of power to be giving one player that has no tie to this show, who only won Survivor on his 4th try, and Tony is standing there in the game too, who's won Survivor twice. So if anyone deserved to actually have a power like this, it is actually Tony. That was my biggest annoyance with the fact that it's Rob that's getting this treatment when Tony's in the game too. But I don't hate the twist as much of Rob being a traitor, even though I think he will definitely mess up the dynamic that is brewing between the three of them. I think the three of them could actually work good together. I think Rob, not that he'll necessarily be a bad traitor, but I think he will still hinder the other traitors. I still don't like the Wes and Derek aspect of the twist for 2 different reasons. One, I've just seen Wes on TV too much. Even though I do like Wes, like compared to your Johnny Bananas of the reality show landscape, Wes can be very entertaining. And Wes coming into the game as not a traitor is a dynamic that I think actually can help the faithful. Wes is very smart at games. He just is. He is an extremely strategic player, and he knows the right time to work with the right people. Wes could get ahead of himself as a player when it comes to alliances. Like, he can be one of those players who will throw a faithful under the bus to save his own ass, which is a part of the game. So I'm not going to fault him too much for that. Derek, on the other hand, and all these Big Brother fans who just want to say that Derek is the best player ever. He isn't. There's been plenty of other great Big Brother winners, including the one that just won. Derek, the other reason I can't stand him is he's boring. You know, say what you will about Boston Rob. We've seen him be cutthroat. We've seen him be a villain that's entertaining. Wes can be a villain that's entertaining. Derek, yes, he changed the game of Big Brother in the most boring way possible. That is what Derek will forever be known for, the whole big alliance conundrum. In this game dynamic, that doesn't work. So we'll see what else he brings to the table. But I know for sure one thing he won't bring to the table is entertainment. So that is a big fault of him being cast. And also him joining the game late, getting the extra advantage of joining the game late, just helps my own argument, in my opinion, that he's not a great player. Great players are players like Tony, who won twice on Survivor and is playing from the very beginning with no special treatment, no special power, not a traitor. One thing I am glad of is that Derek is not a traitor, though. That would have definitely pissed me off. As a whole, loved the first episode overall. Loved the 3 traitors. Don't know how Boston Rob's going to change that dynamic, but I don't think it's going to be like bad television. Derek will be boring television, though. That's a guarantee for me right now. There's a lot of dynamics. I don't have any faith in the housewives. I don't like that Dorinda's the main target of some people because she's the housewife that will cause drama of the 4 that are cast. I don't see the other 3 causing that much drama. Robin especially. Dolores doesn't seem like she got upset and then didn't say anything to anyone, at least in the edit. And I know nothing about Aeon from Dubai. Alright, I'll end this video there. I'm going to try and do a live tomorrow night to talk about these first 3 episodes of the Traitors Season 3.